When one of the most dangerous predators on the planet swims near the surface of the water, its direct dorsal fin rises 6 feet above the water. Meet the killer whales, the largest mammals of the dolphin family. They are carnivores and eat literally all living things, fish, cephalopods, and other marine mammals. When there is enough food, the killer whale coexists peacefully with other cetaceans. But if they are hungry, without hesitation, attack other dolphins and even larger whales. In the depths of the sea, killer whales have no natural enemies. Even a white shark to them is not a rival, but prey. The size of the prey does not matter. If it is too large, the killer whale will hunt with the whole flock, biting off pieces of meat from its body. These largest dolphins in the world live in families, which include one adult male, females with babies, as well as elderly and infertile females. Several families come together to make up a group. The members of the group are very much attached to each other. The relationships between them are very warm and friendly. Healthy killer whales help their sick or elderly brothers and sisters. Adult strong individuals take an active part in the hunt, while females with cubs are on the sidelines, but nevertheless, they also participate in the meal. If a member of the group is dissatisfied with something, the main thing that they would do would be to indignantly slam their fin on the surface of the water. Scientists distinguish two varieties of killer whales: resident and transit killer whales. Resident ones are killer whales that feed mainly on fish and only occasionally pay attention to pinnipeds. This type of killer whale is combined into groups of up to 15 individuals, working in a chain and looking for fish. When they find a school of fish, the killer whales are driven into a ball on the surface of the water, jammed by their tails, and burst to the center of the school one by one. In fairness, it is worth noting that these resident killer whales do not correspond to the nickname of killer whales. Their behavior and feeding patterns are reminiscent of humpback whales. The second type is transit killer whales. They are the real killers. Other dolphins, whales, pinnipeds, and sea lions are listed in their diet. Orca bite marks were found in half of the examined fin whales and in 65% of sperm whales. Just imagine that every second sperm whale in the world has been attacked by a killer whale at least once. Transit whales gather in smaller groups compared to residents. Their groups consist of 3 to 5 individuals. A distinctive feature of such a group is its silence, since the mammals hunted by killer whales can hear their voices. Each day, the killer whale requires up to 300 pounds of food, and there is usually no shortage of it. A variety of diets and the absence of natural enemies put the killer whale on the top of the food chain. While hunting for seals or penguins, killer whales dive under the ice on which the prey is located and hit it from below and wait for the prey to drop into the water. When hunting sea lions, killer whales are thrown ashore, taking them by surprise. This method of hunting is the most spectacular. It can be regularly observed on the shores of Patagonia in southern South America. When attacking a whale, male killer whales try to sink the prey, preventing it from floating to the surface to breathe. And when attacking a sperm whale, on the contrary, they push it to the surface so that it does not hide in the depths. The size of the catch of killer whales often exceeds the amount of food that they can eat at a time. Therefore, killer whales do not eat the whale as a whole, but devour only its tongue, throat, and lips. The tongue of the whales is a treat for killer whales. They try to open the mouth of a living whale in order to cling to it. It has happened that people have managed to capture the battle of killer whales and sharks. 2 killer whales, using coordinated actions and sound signals, attacked a shark, and the shark had no chance of escape. The battle did not last long. With a few strikes and bites with the powerful jaws, the whales quickly dealt with the shark. After carefully reviewing the notes, scientists came to the conclusion that the assassination of killer whales on one of the largest predators of the ocean was carried out for the sole purpose to teach young animals to hunt for larger prey. Numerous studies have shown that each flock of killer whales has its own individual hunting techniques, which the older generation teaches the younger. In this way, their own hunting traditions of the group are passed from generation to generation. and as such, it is possible to determine in which particular family a particular killer whale was brought up. But now let's talk about what happens if a killer whale or another whale swallows a person. In the archives, it is mentioned that in 1896, the American whaling ship Star of the East was attacked by a huge sperm whale. With one tail blow, it knocked sailor James Bartley off the deck. His teammates thought he was swallowed by a whale and chased the animal for 2 days. As the New York Times wrote, they managed to catch him and get their sailor alive from the stomach of the marine mammal. James was unconscious for about 36 hours in the stomach, and despite this, remained alive. But was it really so, or are these just stupid tales from a newspaper editor? English zoologist Ambrose Wilson decided to figure out this story himself. The professor unearthed another case in the archives which occurred in 1771, when once again a sperm whale attacked a whaling boat and swallowed a sailor, but after a while he appeared on the surface and spat it out. The sailor was pretty scratched, but there were no serious injuries. Ambrose believes that it all depends on how big the whale is and how long a person will remain in its stomach. For example, the diet of a gray whale includes only plankton, and it cannot swallow anything larger than a melon. But the same sperm whale reaches 65 feet in length and weighs about 50 tons. This representative of cetaceans does not eat small plankton, but prefers something more high-calorie, for example, cephalopods and fish. In the 50s of the last century, a 30-foot squid was found in the stomach of one sperm whale. Moreover, it was not chewed or digested. That is, it was simply swallowed and remained alive inside for some time, since there were traces of suction cups on the walls of the stomach. So, a person can also stay alive for a while. But how likely is it? The professor believes that firstly, the sperm whale simply does not pay any attention to you, even if you swim next to it, and the chances that it will attack you and completely swallow you are extremely small. But what about blue whales? If the gray whale simply cannot swallow you, and the sperm whale intently chooses what to eat and just ignores you, then blue whales can inadvertently swallow an inattentive diver along with plankton. If it happened that you were in the water and shot a video for your Instagram next to a flock of whales and suddenly one of them swallowed you, you would be very fortunate if you had the diving equipment behind you that would provide you with enough oxygen. Scientists have described this process in detail. First, you fall into pitch darkness. Around you will be tons of water, fish, and small organisms. After a few seconds, you will feel how the whale displaces all the water, leaving you in one slush, and then it will begin to swallow its entire catch. But do not rush to worry. The throat of a blue whale, although more than that of a whiskered congener, is still not much. With all the desire, even if it becomes very interesting for you and you want to see the whale's stomach, you still won't be able to crawl through the throat, which is only about 8 inches in diameter. The next action of the whale is to try to spit you out like an annoying fly, and then your luck may be over. Everything will depend on how deep the whale dived for its breakfast, and if it's more than 650 feet deep, then problems are guaranteed. But fortunately for all those who find themselves in the mouth of a whale, it usually dives to the depth of no more than 70 feet during feeding. So it's easy for you to swim to the surface. The maximum you can get off with is the fact that the whale will give you a good fin slap for a spoiled meal. Simply put, a whale will wrench you in its mouth and spit you out. But all this does not apply to meeting with a killer whale. In this case, you will not be able to get off with a slight scare. As we said before, this is a very dangerous predator, so be careful. By the way, in July 2019, wildlife photographer Chase Decker captured the moment when a humpback whale inadvertently swallowed a sea lion. A flock of whales and sea lions ate in one place, and, by a lucky chance, the sea giant ate what it did not want. Chase says that watching it was just unbelievable. According to him, the whale was still on the surface for another 15 seconds to enable its awkward companion in the ocean to get out of its mouth. I saw the whale and it didn't even close its jaws, so as to not harm the sea lion. I was impressed and scared at the same time, but no one was hurt. Everything ended well. So I think, thanks to this incident, all swimmers and divers should not worry," said Chase. And that's all for today. Write in the comments what you would do if you were swallowed by a whale. And don't forget to put like if you like this video. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more.